Take a look around the room you're in right now and pick out a chair. You probably don't doubt for a second that it's actually there. You trust that it has 4 legs, a seat, and takes up real space. Most of us live in this default setting, a deep, invisible habit of taking the world at face value. It's the assumption that everything around us exists exactly as we see it, regardless of whether we're looking at it or not. For hundreds of years, thinkers tied themselves in knots over this assumption. They obsessed over a seemingly impossible question. How can we prove this physical world is actually real, and not just a convincing dream? You might remember René Descartes. He tried to solve this by doubting absolutely everything: his senses, his body, the chair he sat in, until he found the one thing he couldn't doubt: the fact that he was thinking. But by the early 1900s, a thinker named Edmund Husserl realized this obsession with proving or doubting reality was a dead end. Instead of fighting over whether the chair is real, Husserl suggested we do something much simpler. He asked us to hit pause on the whole debate. Because even if we can't prove the chair is a physical object, we can't deny that we are having an experience of a chair. By setting the physical world aside for a moment, we can finally focus on the one thing we actually have access to, the way our own minds construct that experience. Let's try this as a mental exercise. Look back at your chair, but try to shift how you're looking at it. Imagine taking your belief that the chair is a thing out there and just sliding it out of the way. You're not saying it isn't real. You're just choosing to put brackets around that belief to see what's left. Husserl called this bracketing. When you remove the weight of the object itself, your perspective changes. You're no longer looking at a piece of furniture. You're looking at your own field of vision. Suddenly, the work your mind is doing becomes obvious. You notice how you are interpreting the angles, how you're piecing together the patches of light, and how you're recognizing the shape as a place to sit. This shows that your consciousness isn't a passive screen. It is an active workshop, constantly busy organizing and making sense of the raw data hitting your eyes. This workshop follows a specific rule. Your mind is never just on. It is always on and pointing at something. Whether you're thinking, fearing, or seeing, your mind acts like a targeting arrow. We often think the mind is like an empty bucket that things just fall into, but Husserl showed it's more like a beam of light that reaches out to grab what it sees. He called this intentionality. Think about the raw data of that chair again. On its own, it's just a collection of wood, fabric, and straight lines. But your mind doesn't see wood and lines. It instantly reaches out and assigns a human meaning to them, transforming those materials into the idea of a seat, or my favorite spot to relax. You are a participant in your reality. You don't just observe the world, you are the one who gives it its meaning. Once you see this, the room around you starts to look different. You notice the invisible conversation between your mind and every object you pass. The physical stuff provides the raw ingredients, the light and the textures, but your consciousness provides the recipe. You can turn this into a daily practice to help you stay aware of how you're shaping your own world. First, pick any ordinary object nearby, maybe a coffee mug or a book. Second, bracket it. Hit that pause button on the assumption that it's just a boring thing that exists on its own. Third, observe the how. Notice how your mind is currently using that object. Are you looking at it through the lens of a habit? Are you looking at it with a sense of boredom, or maybe a feeling of necessity? The next time you go to sit down, remember that you aren't just a guest in a world of pre-made objects. That chair isn't really a chair until your mind decides to make it one.